the person in the 6th attempt and the person in the 1st attempt में उतना फर्क नहीं है. If you understand your anthro, you understand your anthro. 280 plus is not mains. Okay, I'm saying 280 plus should be at least by the end of our course. So you want to focus actually right now on just understanding. Understanding is the main thing that you want to do. So you do not want to focus on मतलब tests, right? पहले आपका quality आना चाहिए. Most students who are serious about that, everybody knows how to solve it. The trick is who can do it the quickest. We are not always going to be lucky, and उसका उतना matter भी नहीं करता है, right? So this is just like prelims. ये सब आप करोगे ना, only then you are going to be able to do well in this particular process. Don't jump the gun from here to here. So my suggestion is course, okay, and the test series before you go into your prelims ka mode. Just do this. Trust me, by the end of you doing this, automatically you will get to a point jahan pe, you know what, I have a decent hold in anthro. Hello everyone. So welcome to your first class of anthropology, right? So this is your foundation batch. So welcome to all of you. I'm seeing a lot of names, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get used to these names very soon, but generally it takes me a lot of time. Rishabh, you're the one who basically spoke to me a little earlier, correct? Okay, yesterday, a couple of days ago, right? You're basically switching from QEP to the foundation, right? Great. So happy to see you. Okay, Jatin, Lakshmi, Thankaraj, great. Anukta, Anirudh, Mayuri, Shashwati, hello, Sneha, Ananya, Srihita. Okay, I'm probably going to mispronounce many of these names, so bear with me a little bit. Okay. So how are you guys feeling? Just a quick pulse check. How are you guys feeling today? Excited, nervous, overwhelmed, stressed? How does it work? Bukya NTR, great. Okay. Mixed emotions, okay. Why so mixed? On day 1 it is mixed. How will it be on day 10 and day 20 and day 30? Okay, good. Stressed after prelims failure. Okay, that happens. Don't worry about prelims, right? Because prelims ke liye assume that you have given your best. Yeah, maybe there were some things that made you not be able to give your best. It happens to the best of you guys, right? I have students who have not cleared prelims, but the year in which they cleared prelims, they not only cleared mains, they cleared interview, and they went to Labasna एक attempt में. तो ये तो हो जाएगा. So it's not something to worry, right? So अभी के लिए what you want to do is essentially try to make the most out of your mains ka period, right? Fine, excited news. Okay, great. Good. Grateful for what? You'll be giving your attempt in 2027. Okay. See, I'm seeing a lot of these messages, and it is basically just scrolling through. Okay. But I want to keep it as much as possible where you get to interact, right? To be honest, camera ke pehle, samne, to do it, and it's actually not that comfortable for me, right? So I want it to be, as much, we'll try to model it and simulate it as if it is real life class. It's going to take me some times, but after a point I should be like, Anshul here, Jagriti here, okay, Shashwati here, right, Ayush here, it should essentially become like this for me, so that it becomes a lot more sort of interactive. So keep the chats coming, right? So we will interact. Okay, it helps me gauge my pace. It helps me cater to you guys, right? So this entire thing is for you guys. Club, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by this, right? But this is like back in my team basically manages this. I get to see what you guys say, right? So that is that. See, I wanted to ask you a few questions. First, tell me, just introduce yourself in your chat, okay? And as much as possible, I will try to get this, for the first few lectures, so that I basically get used to your names, your handwriting, your some association. So what is your name? Where exactly are you from? Is this your have you given prelims before? Something like this. You basically, or no, name. Okay, tell me what is your academic background, right? BSc, engineering, those kind of things, and which part of just give me the geography, give me the state where you're from. It'll help me map how diverse this patch is. यानी एक ही message में डालो, okay, what is your name and what is, because otherwise somebody else will message, right? So I'll lose that train of thought that you have. Okay, so that's your name. You're from Ghaziabad. Okay, BTech in mechanical, and it is going to be your second attempt. Ramji Engineering, Andhra Pradesh. Okay, no mains yet. Okay, got it. Vishal. Okay, BTech UP, second attempt. Good. You're from Warangal, Telangana. Okay, got it. Bhopal. Okay, Anukta. Right, Kushi from Maharashtra. Manmeet Kaur. Punjab. Maharashtra. Right, Kolkata. From Bangalore. Bengaluru. Okay, Mechanical Engineering, Hyderabad, right? Mysore, Karnataka, wonderful, great city. BTech Hyderabad, Vizag, okay, great. Chennai, wonderful. Chennai and then exclamations, good. Chennai Namuru, huh? Ifshita Datta, okay, great. Okay. So why anthropology, right? So many of you guys have basically chosen anthropology. I'm hoping that you have chosen it for the right reasons. See, anthropology is basically a scoring subject, right? So I'm hoping that you know what is anthropology, right? What does it stand for? Okay, at least इतना तो पता रहना चाहिए कि it is like study of man. Okay, and when I say man, it is man, woman, right? Mankind as a whole. Okay, we can put it sort of inclusive terms. Study of humans is basically what this subject is about. See, this is a subject that is यहाँ पे competition is pretty high because it's a fairly scoring subject, and it is one of those subjects जहाँ पे you generally don't have a bad year. Right, generally you will see har ek saal there will be some number of students who are able to get into the top 100 primarily because of their anthropology ka score. So that is one of the reasons, but you should also have some sort of interest in anthropology, meaning to understand societies, to understand different sort of groups of people and things like this. So I will basically go through what are the things that I expect from you guys in this particular batch, right? What exactly is going to be, the sequence in which we go about it. What exactly am I going to make you guys do, right? What is the best way to sort of score really well in the final exam, which is your UPSC exam, whenever you're going to get that chance. And hopefully all of you guys get your chance next year itself. Okay. All of this. By the way, is anybody writing mains this year? Mayurakshi, you're here as well. Okay. So you're doing that and this. Okay, good. But generally, the ideal sort of direction to sort of go is going to be that you do your foundation. Okay, be extremely thorough with foundation. Then you basically go for test series जहाँ पे आपको थोड़ा सा validation वगैरह कर पाओ. Right, possibly because most of you guys are freshers. Maybe you can take 3.5 months, 4 months, whatever it be. But उसके पहले you finish this so that वो 70-75 days जो मिल रहे हैं हमें. Right, okay, 87 days is basically what we had this year, right? So us time mein you will still be able to compete with people who have already done their preparation, right? You're going to be competing against, not amongst yourselves, you're going to be competing against people who are already in service. You're going to be competing against people who have gone to interview. You have competing against people who have written mains and done reasonably well in anthropology. They know what are their strengths, what are their areas to improve, all these kind of things. So yehi hai aapka competition, right? So you want to get as much of your anthropology done before you go for your prelims. But happy to have you here. Okay, good. Haryana, okay. Jaya. Borom, Jamatia from Tripura, okay. Almas, okay. BHMS, homeopathy, is it? Maharashtra, okay. Piyush Nanda, Rajasthan. Kolkata, MSc, Medical Biotech, BTech in CSE. Okay, great. Oh, it's going to take me some time to get used to all these names. Okay, Karan, Raj, Priyanka, Ghanshyam, Mansi, IT Roorkee, Bihar, BTech Civil, BSc Karnataka. Hello. Okay. Okay, so if you guys have any specific questions, you do let me know, right? I'm going to go and talk about the few things that I actually want to talk about, right? So how do we basically start is... Okay, so I'm going to talk about like what is exactly is going to be the order, and I don't know if you guys have actually gotten the schedule from Sarrthi, the team. मतलब website में होगा तो, because some of you had asked me, I've actually sent it. Just can you guys confirm if you have already sort of seen it? It is uploaded, right? Okay. So the idea is going to be like this. We are going to start off, with 3 days a week. That basically will help you. It will basically help you ease into optional, right? So optional is not something that is like your GSK papers, right? So GS ka paper is essentially at a particular level, and optional यहाँ से यहाँ तक. That you have to understand that it is slightly on a higher level, higher pedestal. The reason I'm saying this is not because, there are certain reasons for this. In case you guys had seen the video that had been posted on our channel, right? So wahan pe bhi dekh lo. I basically explained this a little bit. GS is something jahan pe it is like board exams. It is not relative. So how you do, okay, is directly going to be resulting in the kind of score. But optional jo hai, it's scaling वगैरह होता है, right? So the good scores are going to be only for top 1% या top 5% max. बाकी 95% will do reasonably okay, but that is not going to get them to the service, right? So yeah. But the reason why I say that it is slightly different, because I don't want you to focus on the scoring element. I want you to focus on this. GS ke liye is generally school level, right? So in case you want to study your geography, what is the go-to book here, right? You're going to go with your new NCRTs, okay, your class 11, class 12, Indian physical environment, fundamentals of physical geography यही करोगे, right? Okay, so if you have, let's say, your history, ancient, medieval, either you'll go with your new NCRTs, or you'll go with your old NCRTs, R.S. Sharma, Satish Chandra, or you will go with your Tamil Nadu books. I mean, these are the books that I think are the most common sort of books here. So, मतलब ये school level के हैं. When you're doing any sort of optional, whether it is mathematics or electrical engineering or or anthropology, sociology, history, right, geography, right, these are all subjects that are at the master's level. So the way you write your GS answers and the way you write your anthropology, any optional answers, is at a much different sort of level. Optional mein you're basically writing at a master's level, right? So this requires sound foundation. Okay, very strong आपको होना चाहिए. Dharwad, Karnataka. Okay, masters in English literature, wonderful. Yamini, Aman, Karan, Ananya. Okay, Ayush, great. Surya Sai, Nellore. Lakshmi is from Kerala. Hello. Wonderful. Where in Kerala are you from? Ghosh, Garbit, Shubham, Dr. Siddharth, Niket, Abhinash. First attempt in 2027. Oh, you're starting quite early. Shravani, I'm guessing Andhra Pradesh or Telugu states. Sri Hita. Okay, I'm guessing that is Hyderabad. Okay, great. Uma, Spurti, Sai Prasanna, Telangana. We have got like all over the place, right? Great. Raghavendra, Nithi, Mayurakshi. Thought would clear prelims, so had joined. Be stronger, so joined here. Okay, great. Okay, you're always welcome. You are very interactive. So very happy with this. Okay, so a few things that I'll basically talk about. Okay, so this is going to be, so we are going to be starting with biological anthropology. Okay, so I will get there. Okay, I'm not going to give you an intro to biological anthropology. I'm going to give you a session, okay, that I want you to sort of like get the main idea. How do you want to use this particular course? Okay, how do you sort of make yourself very, very strong at anthropology, jahan pe you will be able to compete with the likes of the ones that I just told you. So the optional is one area jahan pe what I would suggest is that you think of, when you're doing your optional course, I want you to forget the exam. Okay, exam ko bhul jao. The second you start thinking exam, right, you will basically be chasing some things, okay, but not, ideally getting better at the entire subject, right? So my idea is that, I want to build a foundation. You don't know what is going to be the pattern in 2026. You're not sure what is going to be the pattern in 2027. And some of you might even be writing in 2028. And so we don't know what it is going to be. Okay. If you go by the current trends, 2020, let's say 2010 all the way till 2020 were fairly easy papers. Okay, in fact, it was a static subject. And this was true for many subjects. Okay, a lot of the questions used to be just PYQK themes. 2021 and 2022. Okay, so next couple of years, you had thoda sa analytical, but mostly again, you will still be able to sort of choose questions. Jahan pe, matlab, aapne, like, you have basically studied it, right? So you will still be able to choose the questions in that particular manner, right? So you were able to sort of score in that as well. 2023 and 2024, the pattern has become a lot more sort of analytical, jahan pe you cannot skip those questions that tend to be analytical, right? Okay, so this is something that you're seeing. But this making it analytical has actually helped many students who have a very strong hold. So now it has become ki, the person in the 6th attempt and the person in the 1st attempt mein utna farak nahi hai. If you understand your anthro, you understand your anthro. Everybody is basically getting a level playing field. But let's say ki aapka hold in anthro is not great, does not matter whether 6th attempt hai ki even, kitne veterans hai wo. It does not matter. Right? Okay, they are not going to be able to sort of keep up with people who have a good hold, because they will be the ones who will be able to attempt, reasonably better compared to the others. And ye pura relative benchmarking ke saath hota hai. Okay, so okay, so build 90% of your foundation strength before prelims, so that, 280 plus is not mains. Okay, I'm saying 280 plus should be at least by the end of our course, right? So this is something that you want to sort of erase. Okay? So this is, ye to target hoga aapka 320. It is still possible, right? So that is something that you want to have. But let's say by the end of the course, you should have a kind of hold, jahan pe, any kind of analytical question that is posed in front of you, you should be able to give some sort of answer to it from an anthropological lens. And it cannot be something jahan pe, you're like, "Arey, maine ye padha hai. Okay, I know this particular question. I know this particular kind of answer for it. Okay, I just have to remember it." Okay, it's not going to be a memory test alone. So this is the main sort of target. Okay, so there is going to be 5 things that I'm going to expect from you. Okay, I will keep taking your messages every once in a while. Okay, maybe after every slide. Where am I from? I am currently in Bangalore or Bengaluru. Okay, that is where I'm. The previous session that I had taken was from Delhi, but now I'm recording from Bangalore. My name is Avinash. Okay, great, great. Computer applications. First attempt 2027. Shubhangi, BAMS, Maharashtra. Homeopathy. Good, 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 good. Haryana, Maharashtra, Rohtak. Great, great. Okay, you guys are saying yes, sir, for something, and I forgot exactly what was the question. The schedule has been uploaded. Okay. You could not find. So somebody tell ki, like how can Anshul find? You have to go to the website, or is it in your portal? Do you have access to a portal and you have it there, or oh, you're from Trivandrum? Okay, great, great, great. Thiruvananthapuram, UP, great. It's in portal. Okay, so Anshul, it is basically in your portal. You can go there and you'll be able to see this. Okay. But we cannot see each other's messages. I think that is how they do it. Okay, I think it's their policy. Like it's not me doing this. Okay, and I think they have some reasons for it. Past experiences, I guess. Okay, great. Can we connect with? Yeah. So okay. So that is again, it's like back end team ka. So I guess you guys can deal with it. But let it be like this for now. Okay. So let's just focus on this. See, how do you make the best use of this particular course? I'm going to take you through the course in a very logical sort of manner. Right, our syllabus, for those of you who have an idea of the history of anthropology in UPSC or subjects in UPSC, right, optional subject, used to be, the entire syllabus of bachelor's and master's, right? And then eventually once they started, and this is the time when there used to be two subjects. I think it was 2012 and prior. So उस समय क्या होता था? It's like you have a much larger sort of syllabus, but paper का pattern was different, right? So that was that. And उसके बाद they sort of like did a little bit of revamping of the syllabus, जहाँ पे they're cutting down on certain parts of the syllabus. So once they cut down certain parts of the syllabus, okay, it seems a little illogical because यहाँ से it doesn't flow directly here, यहाँ से it doesn't flow directly here, right? You basically study most of advanced biology के applications, and then comes your chapter number 1.7 जहाँ पे you have the basics of bio, right? So ये सब होगा, but I will take you through in a manner जहाँ पे it is relatively easy for you to follow, but we will ensure that we complete everything. Okay, we are basically starting with biological anthropology. That is the topic that we are going to do, and let me see if I have the sequence here. So I guess I did not keep the sequence here. The timing of the classes, okay, I'll just get to that. Okay, it is going to be the same as this. I think it's all there in the schedule. If it is not, you ask me. ठीक है. See, basically, the best way to make the most out of your foundation course, it is going to be to ensure कि आप 5 चीजें कर रहे हो. Okay, and this is the 5 things that you want to ensure that after every class you're basically doing. या मतलब on a weekly basis you want to ensure कि 5 things are essentially done. Okay, what are the 5 things that you want to do? See, first thing is come to class. Okay, listen to class. Focus not कि मतलब कि what was the question, उसका आंसर क्या है, मुझे क्या याद रखना है, right? Okay, don't do it in that particular manner. ठीक है, you can do it for GS because you have to clear your prelims and so on and so forth. Here, when you come to anthropology, you focus not on remembering because remembering तो हो जाएगा, by the end of the course. If you're doing all these 5 steps, remembering is not the main issue. Right? Okay. या मतलब मान लो कि अभी नहीं कर रहे हो, right? Before you go to your mains, everybody remembers their anthropology. Whether they're scoring 40, 50 per paper or they're scoring 140, 150 in a paper, everybody has studied and gone. So that is not the main sort of challenge. But see to it that you basically understand the concepts, right? It cannot be that ठीक है, I have to basically draw a box like this and यहाँ पे डालना है कि capital D, lowercase t, lowercase t, lowercase t, okay, something like this. Or the fact that, okay, अगर ऐसा कुछ होगा तो I'll basically just introduce this particular scholar and this particular study, something मैं लिख लूँगा, I don't really understand it, but I'll just provide it to the evaluator कि I am not sure, I'm understanding what you're asking, okay, but मेरे पास ये है, इसको देख लो कि if it is addressing that particular question तो marks दे दीजिए, अगर नहीं है तो मतलब half दे दो, like you don't want to be in that particular kind of way, right? So you want to focus actually right now on just understanding. Understanding is the main thing that you want to do. So the first step is to ensure that when you leave, okay, before the end of the next class, okay, you ask me the doubts, whatever it is there, but ensure that you have understood this. The first thing should be that you have gained the conceptual clarity. The reason I tell you this thing is that eventually you will understand that in analytical questions, if you want to look and analyze a particular topic through an anthropological lens, right, you have to be able to connect the concepts there in a logical sort of manner. Right? Just like a career anthropologist would do. So let's say you have somebody who's correcting your paper who's 58 years old. Okay, that person has spent 3-4 decades in anthropology. The way they look at the world is really through in a particular manner. right? You have to train yourself to get to that particular point. उसके लिए you don't just want to know what that particular concept is, you should also get a hold of that concept कि वो कैसे apply होता है, right? So there will be those topics जहाँ पे आपको understanding में ही जाना है, right? There are reasons for this, why I'm basically telling this. Once we go into the syllabus, you will understand this, right? See, anthropology में ना, and you will understand this once we start. It is basically a bunch of different kind of subjects. It's a study of man across space, across time, across geographies, right? So you have this. So you have multiple different aspects of man. You have the historical aspects that you have already done in your GS, right? Ancient India, mein you must have done lower Paleolithic hai. You know, I think the fourth chapter is basically your Indus Valley civilization. Uske pehle you have your Stone Age, you have your, Paleolithic, you have your Mesolithic, you have your Neolithic. Then you basically come to Metal Age. Chalcolithic hai, bronze hai, iron hai. Okay, after all these things, bronze is basically your Indus Valley civilization. So you understand, right? So you have already done this. Similarly, you will have societal aspects, right? So you will have Indian society related topics. You will have some biology related aspects. You will have some political aspects, right? Of course, you're not going to be quoting articles like you would do in your Lakshmikant, right? But you will have your polity angles. You will have your economy angles. You even have to study religion. Okay, but it is not religion. You are an expert in the Bhagavad Gita or in the Bible or in the Quran or something, right? You are basically trying to understand what does religion mean in different societies. Okay, how do you sort of study it formally, right? So this is basically something that you would have to understand, that if it's biology, you have to understand biology is a tool that you use in order to sort of see applications to humanity, right? Biology is not the subject in itself. The same question could be posed in biology paper, life sciences paper. It could be given in medical science paper. It could be given in अगर pharmacy का paper है, तो you get the picture. It can be in all those, but when that same question is given to you, you have to be trained enough to look at it through anthropology angle. इसके लिए I'm telling you, the focus should be on ensuring that you have a very good hold on the concepts of anthropology. Okay. Second thing is going to be, I will have see, I'll be providing you handouts, okay, and in those handouts I'll basically keep some blanks, okay, and those blanks are for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons is basically somehow see, if you want to write a paper and be in the top 1%, थोड़ा सा आपको unique रहना पड़ेगा, right? So it's a very important need that you have to be sort of unique in some way. Like आपको आपके paper को stand out, like you have to stand out with your paper. They're correcting your paper, 100 papers correct kar rahe hain, you have to be in the top one. Basically means if somebody is evaluating 100 papers and then they think, whose paper in the last week that I've corrected, okay, or evaluated, which of these things was really the best? Okay, oh, that Monday evening, that wala ek paper tha. Thursday ko there was one paper, and maybe Saturday mein this one paper. This is basically how it stands out. By 100 mein, can you ensure कि मतलब आपका top 3 में आ सकता है? So you've got to make it stand out to some extent. ठीक है? So because of that, I don't want these handouts which I'm going to give you, the kind of scholars that I give you, the kind of studies that I give you, the kind of ideas that I give you. I don't want that to sort of go against you. If it basically goes out, it makes your paper less unique, and that is something that I want to avoid. So I basically have some fill in the blanks wala portion that you have, and those are also some things jahan pe you either are writing things that requires a little more memorization. So I want you to write it with your own sort of hands. I will also be dictating some parts, so there will be a lot of empty space on the sides and all of that in your handouts. Okay, so that basically means that I will give you many things and how to connect those topics to what we see around us. It could be some sort of current event that you can link it here. It could be some sort of recent studies that are there, something from anthropological literature, right? All these kind of things also will be dictated, right? So what is the next thing? The next thing is to ensure that class में, you basically sort of whatever you have filled out, okay, उसको थोड़ा सा आप internalize भी कर रहे हो. First thing is this: if you understand it and the conceptual clarity है, ठीक है, you can take a look at who said what, right? किसका study था? How does it prove this, right? So that is something. But उसके बाद you basically ensure कि you try to understand, the sequence of ideas. How do you structure? Like how do they basically go about getting something done, right? So all these kind of ideas आपको चाहिए. Also the names, the examples, the studies, all these things you want to sort of do this. Third one is going to be, and this is something that I will tell you, I'll give a lot of assignments. Okay. I'll come to your questions in just a bit. Okay. Before I lose my train of thought, I'll go through this. Assignments. ठीक है. So with regard to assignments, okay, this is something that I will do. See, this is the main aspect of your subject. Very old school. This was the color of my, the blackboard that we had in school was actually a dark green board. So we're going to stick with this. See, basically you're going to have assignment. This is going to be your step number 3. So, and actually this is a very important part of your preparation, right? So, See, assignments के लिए ना, I will I will be giving you, so any topic that we do in class, let us say that we have done let's say economic anthropology we have done, yeah, political anthropology we have done, or let's say that we have done some basic genetics. So in that particular topic, I'm going to give you a target of attempting at least one question on every one of these topics. Okay, and in the beginning you're going to be writing answers that are fairly kind of straightforward, but you have to be able to sort of sequence your ideas, structure them, use of subheadings, okay, intro lagana, conclusion lagana, right? So all these kind of things, basically what you're going to work on, right? I don't want you to jump to the most difficult kind of questions, right? It defeats the purpose. The whole point is to build a solid foundation that you're going to be able to handle any kind of question, right? So one question at least on every single topic has to be written. Ideally I say कि if you for every one of these questions take 15 marker आप लिख लो, right? Just see to it कि how do you introduce this particular idea, how do you sort of conclude this particular idea, okay, how do you sort of create dimensions for let's say a 15 marker, right? How do you sort of integrate your examples, did you box your diagram, what are the kind of diagrams that you can introduce, मतलब ये सब है जो आपको करना है. So if you can basically write a 15 marker on every topic, every subtopic also, कुछ भी नहीं छोड़ना आपको, ठीक है? So this is basically something that I would want you to do. And 15 नहीं, like in case you want to go a little more, okay, you can go with 20 as well. But 15 I think is ideal because most of the questions that you're going to be writing are 15. Okay, 20 मतलब 3 ही होंगे, right? So it's not a big deal. So I think if you can write 15, I think you're going to get a good hold of how to write anthropology master's level kind of answers. ठीक है? बाद में you can do a little bit of value addition through our test series wala this thing, but that is only 10%. Okay, 90% of the work is basically you have to have a strong base, right? 80-90% of your answer abhi तैयार होने चाहिए, but this is not going to be the answer that you will write, okay, towards the end. Okay, this is basically practice. This is practice to get a hold of a subject, right? It is practice to be able to sort of communicate, okay, not verbal communication, right? It is basically written communication within the UPSC constraints of 2 page, 3 page, 4 page, 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 7 minutes, 11 minutes, 14 minutes, right? Okay, this kind of words like 150, 250, 350, these kind of words ka limit. So you're going to get a very good hold. So this is something that I want you to do. Okay, I will create an email address, because the current one, I don't think you will be able to sort of, because ek batch ke liye na, you will basically be sending me a lot of answers, right? So I think I'm frequently having these storage issues. So I will create something for this batch. Okay, so this is something, somebody at the end of the class, please remind me. Okay, email for your batch. Okay, and you will be scanning your this thing, and आपको लिखना है ना, right? Assignments have to be written only in UPSC what do you call that format wale sheets. Okay, and I'll tell you exactly what they are for those of you who don't know what it is like. Okay, but just in brief na, it's going to be something like this. ठीक है, it's going to be something like this. So it's going to be यहाँ पे there's a border, यहाँ पे there is a border, यहाँ पे there is a border, there is a यहाँ पे there is a border, right? यहाँ पे, and so this is like again into so it's going to be 2 pages. If it's a 10 marker, it's going to be 3 pages as in 3 sides. ठीक है? This is going to be 15 marker and 4 pages for 20 marker. Right? So this is essentially what you have. Right? So यहाँ पे आपको करना क्या है? You want to have on average 15 to 16 lines per page. Okay? Some of you have submitted assignments, not in this particular batch, but some of you like last night I was seeing some answers. It was like 23 pages. That happens when you're not writing in these UPSC kind of sheets. I want you to get a hold of these sheets and start this as your communication medium. Okay, so how exactly do you write in this? You will get used to it in a great, really well, really well. If you write a lot of assignments in this, right, so you will understand ki, acha, if like visually itself, you will be able to tell ki, acha, my introduction is going to come till here. See, the content that I have is this one and this one. So iska to mujhe yahan tak aayega, yahan tak ye aayega, right? You will be able to see all of these things because you're used to this particular sheet. So start from here, from the very beginning. Okay. So this is so 15 to 16 lines. Why do I say this? So if it is 15 to 16 lines, you don't have to count the number of words. Most of you guys, whether it's your chota's handwriting hai ya bada sa hai, right? So it's going to be somewhere, let's say 5 lines per page, 5 words per line. So 5 to 6 words per line. Okay, all of you, matlab yahi hoga aapka, right? Unless you have like micro handwriting. Okay, so if that is the case, it is going to be 5 this thing. So मान लो कि अगर आप ऐसे निकालोगे तो कितना आ रहा है? This is going to be 15 times this one is going to be 75. Okay, if it is 16 times 5, it is 80. और यहाँ पे it basically is coming to कितना? थोड़ा सा 90 and change, right? Something like this, right? So अगर ऐसा है तो if it is going to be 2 pages, automatically it's going to be 150 words, right? So this is going to be covered. So इसके बाद ना you never have to see कि whether you are on track. Okay, कितने वर्ड्स बाकी हैं, till where should I write this, right? None of these things. ऐसे लिखोगे तो all of these things are going to go. So मतलब अगर if it is going to be, let's say, a 2-page answer, it is going to be something like this, something like this, something like this, something like this, right? Okay, तो अगर ये 2 पेज है, so let's say you're writing a 2-page answer, it is going to come all the way till the bottom. Okay, यहाँ पे 15 and यहाँ पे 15. So that is going to be, your 75 and 75 is going to be 150, right? So ये करोगे, your paper also looks kind of full, right? Mayurakshi, like when you write those 50 pages, it becomes very difficult to sort of like complete it all, right? But अगर ऐसा करोगे, right, you will ensure कि मतलब you're not writing too much. You're basically writing exactly the demand of the question. At the same time, you're able to sort of present a paper 50 pages जहाँ पे it is like completely filled with all your knowledge. Okay, sort of catered to the demand of that particular question. Okay, it looks good. Okay. Okay. So this is basically about the assignment. Assignment के बारे में I will tell you one more thing. Okay, I'm going to incentivize the students who are doing it regularly. Okay, so I will evaluate your answers if it is within 1 week. And trust me, this is an important step. Okay, so the people who are writing, the students who are writing your assignments, generally if I see at the starting of a batch, it is very difficult for me to judge who is going to be the, the top 3, let's say, the top 3 at the end of the batch. And generally they are never the, beginning में इतना strong नहीं start करते हैं, but they are the ones who are generally stick around, they are consistent. Okay, थोड़ा सा fight मारते हैं, and then they are just consistent. They show up every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I guess it's Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, all the classes that you're going to be having, ensuring that they're submitting the assignment on time. Initially it does not come out well, but being at it consistently for a certain period of time, it is going to elevate their answers. And iska benefit aapko dikhega in step number 5. Okay, within 1 week I will do it. Okay, so let's say कि Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday का है, उस हफ्ते, उस Sunday के अंदर, if you basically submit that to me, I will ensure that I take a look at it and give you some personal feedback as well. Okay, well, it's going to be difficult to handle every one of these things, but I want to incentivize those who are doing this. And I really implore करता हूँ कि you want to ensure that you write every single question के लिए at least 115 marker, every subtopic के लिए. Okay, once you write it, उसका benefit is like you tend to never forget the main idea. You will forget कि okay, the name of the scholar is so and so, वो एक case study था, वो कौन से country में था. These kind of things you will forget. Okay, मतलब 10% of extra ये factual वाला component is something that you will forget, right? But you are not going to forget the main idea. Okay, so what exactly is Hardy-Weinberg? Okay, what does it mean to be that equilibrium? समझ रहे हो, right? Okay, what exactly is fertile crescent? Okay, why is it called a crescent? Why is it called fertile? Right? So ये वाला जो conceptual clarity जो होगा ना, okay, it is going to stick with you whether मतलब 3 महीने के बाद उठाओगे, right? Even then you will have it. Right? The only thing that you're going to not have is basically some facts here and there, and those are things that आपको थोड़ा सा cram करोगे, वो आ जाएगा, right? So that is not something that I'm too worried about. This is आपका step number. So this is your step number 3. ठीक है? So basically the first was to ensure that when you come to class, your focus is not कि इसके लिए मुझे क्या याद करना है या क्या पढ़ना है, right? Conceptual clarity. You walk away from class, okay, and then do a little bit of reading of the same handout. You thoda sa just let it marinate in your head for a little bit. You should have that clarity, that thought jo hoga na, it has to be there. Second thing is that now you start focusing on, okay, so in case I have to write this, okay, so I have to structure it. Let's say that I'm going to go with, let's say, meaning. Uske baad, okay, so what are the features? This is something that I want to bring in. Uske baad maybe some examples that you want to sort of bring in. Uske baad maybe some scholars and their perspectives aayega. Acha, theek hai, to ye mujhe rakhna hai in my answers. Okay, and something along these lines. So you understand it. The entire sort of structure, the sequence, the names, okay, the diagram, वो सब आएंगे इस particular stage में. Second thing is going to be you try to focus on मतलब ये तो बोल दिया, right? So the third one is going to be to write these assignments. See, generally of all of these things, the highest ROI, okay, in the course is going to be for step number 3. Okay, it is going to be in step number 3. So I would really implore you to just finish those things at the right time. मुझे पता है कि आपका मतलब course का validity might be a lot longer, right? But मेरे opinion में, and from what I have seen with all my students, is that whenever you have this particular flexibility, it becomes very difficult unless you have that discipline. ठीक है, स्कूल में ना वी वुड नेवर एवर वरी अबाउट लाइक कि मतलब सिलेबस हो रहा है, कंप्लीट हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है, कब मॉक टेस्ट देना है, कब एग्जाम देना है, राइट? नन ऑफ दीस थिंग्स वर बेसिकली गिवन एज अ चॉइस टू अस. If you remember, in school you had all done well, right? So 10th you must have done really well. Probably like it doesn't even feel like much of a fight. Okay, but all of you guys would have gotten your 80s and 70s and 80s and 90s and 95, some of you, right? So did you feel like you really fought that hard? Nahi, actually, because you had a structure, right? You did not get to choose ki half yearly kab likhoge. Okay, you did not get to choose ki pre boards kab likhoge. Okay, when so whether you're done or you're not done, us din mein 9 o'clock your test is going to start. Right, so if you basically go in that kind of systematic sort of manner जहाँ पे वो flexibility आप उठा मतलब you just keep it aside, right? I think your overall output is going to be a lot better, right? So उतना use मत करो वो flexibility, just try to see to it that you finish this along with the batch वाला this thing. ठीक है, that is that. The next one is making short notes, and making of short notes के लिए there is a particular format in which you will have to do it. I'm not going to go into all of these things today, but tomorrow I will bring samples. Okay, we'll take a look at it. Tomorrow we'll start also. Tomorrow is in the next session. Okay, but then I'll also basically tell you ki how do you start with these short notes, and you can make these in a manner jahan pe it is going to make your life a lot easier, and quickly आप revise कर सकते हो. Not all my students have done this, but they have basically cleared mains with a stellar score in anthropology in their very first attempt. ठीक है, so because of that I would still say कि assignments are probably more important than your short notes, because if you're good with your handouts वो भी ठीक है, but I would still suggest कि ये short notes आप बना लो, आपके पास time है, right? There are students who don't have this benefit of time. Okay, and the last one is going to be I will be providing a module wise test just to see to it that आपने जो assignments लिखे हुए हैं, those assignments are basically written with what shall I say, those are open book hai wo, right? So if you're basically writing open book, if you have those things in front of you, you know how to basically utilize that and craft answers. Okay, but you want a core step, you want to sort of take it like one notch higher. And what is that, right? So that is going to be that ability to sort of like sit down and write, okay, without having all of those things in your ready, finger points mein hona chahiye. Okay, even if you can remember 50, 60, 70% of what you had done, थोड़ा सा cram करके आप आओगे, right? And एक बार ये लिख लोगे 50 pages, I think you will be in a much, 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 much better position. Okay, वो confidence will be at a different level. I may not know everything, I may not remember everything. Okay, you might know everything, okay, but you'll feel that I don't remember everything. But the fact is, as of now, I'm able to write on every one of these topics that I've actually written an assignment. So I can actually write 50 pages. Okay, maybe not timed. Okay, the target should not be to time. Okay, when you're doing your, again, I want to make this very clear, right? When you're building your foundation, you do not want to focus on tests, right? पहले आपका quality आना चाहिए, right? So this is the phase जहाँ पे you will do your foundation. उसके बाद you will take to the test series वाला thing. यहाँ पे आप ये मत करो. You want to still focus on writing quality. So I'll give you an example. What could be an example here? See, let's say that you must have written this aptitude wala tests and all, right? So you have for many of these exams you have this aptitude like CAT hai, ZAT hai, all these kind of exams. So let's say you want to get 100 percentile and you want to score really well. Okay, वहाँ पे time बहुत कम मिलता है, right? Whether it's banking exams, RBI, NABARD, all these kind of exams के लिए also SSC, and there are some other sort of exams, right? So basically what you have is that the challenge is not knowing how to solve these questions. Most students who are serious about that, everybody knows how to solve it. The trick is who can do it the quickest. Right, who can do it the quickest. Now the thing is, how do you basically become good at it, is that first step has to be that you know how to solve all those questions when time is not a constraint. अगर आपके पास time का constraint है, okay, you don't know the concept also, it's never going to go well. So let's say that अगर आपका 2 hours का test है, if I give you 4 hours, will you be able to solve all those questions? अगर आपका you're not able to solve all those questions in those 4 hours, okay, there is no way you're going to be able to do that in 2 hours. You get the picture, right? So just pushing yourself for 2 hours is never going to help you, because you still don't know many questions. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे what I want is not that you have written this answer in 7 minutes, okay, and high-fiving yourself, right? ये नहीं चाहिए हमें. What I want is that you have written a quality answer. ठीक है, जब quality आ जाता है, you know exactly how to bring quality to your answer, whether it is your biological anthro, whether it's your tribal, whether it is your Indian society, any of these kind of modules, you have gotten a very good hold. ठीक है, great. Okay, now we can basically sort of reduce the time. So now you can basically focus on how do you reduce that time. Starting when you want to sort of focus on 7 minutes up until if you don't have that quality, 7 minutes पे तो आप लिख पाओगे. Okay. Another thing is that, see, for us, right? So see, generally a lot of students would actually say कि PYQs कर लो and you will be good to go. Have you heard of this? Kaustubh, what if there will be diagrams in the answer? What about it? Should we do any extra reading or from reference books? No, absolutely none. Okay, I'll take care of it. Okay, and I'll tell you why also. See, this is the problem. You know, I ask a question and then I'm seeing a lot of yes, 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 and I forgot exactly what was the question. PYQs wala thing. Thank God. So yeah. So see, a lot of students actually feel कि PYQs हम कर लेंगे ना, तो it's going to be that, you know, हमारा हो जाएगा, right? See, this used to be work. This used to be a strategy. Actually, ना, this strategy I heard for the very first time, मतलब 15 something years ago, जब मैं, you know, I was on a train somewhere and I had somebody who was sitting beside me on a train, middle sleeper, you know, you have this, right? And who had 2 kids already. Okay, he was working as a scientist at CCMB. Okay, we were just chit chatting, and then he told me that he had prepared for UPSC, जहाँ पे 2 subjects थे. So this must be like some बहुत सारे सालों पहले, like before his 2 kids also, right? And his kids are in school. तो उसके पहले apparently used to be that, you know, if we basically study all the questions from you know, जो PYQ वाला है 80s and 90s, okay, मतलब, you know, and हमारा हो गया. So this was something, मतलब 20 years के पहले ये चलता था. Okay, and then this one somehow, you know, after I came into UPSC, okay, after I've been teaching for so long, okay, abhi bhi ye wala this thing, you know, the market mein yahi chalta hai, right? But if you thoda sa, you know, you think for yourself, okay, if you go and analyze, and I think I'm sure that, you know, Rishabh would understand this, Mayurakshi would understand this, right? You guys have also seen questions, especially the previous year questions. There are many new questions that are coming in, okay, and many of those questions are basically not difficult questions. It is just that you have to apply. But many students वो क्या करते हैं is that they basically do only the PYQs or the PYQ themes, whatever it is. Okay, and any other question जो पूछते हैं ना, they are not able to sort of address those with the same quality. तो अगर, so they have you know, 2 kinds of questions. There are the typical students, okay, who are very hardworking, but you know, it takes them forever to be able to get the greatest score in their option. Okay, now this is not only your anthropology, this is basically, you know, in many subjects ये होता है, right? So they have only easy and difficult, and the way they see easy or difficult is basically like this. Okay, if मैंने देखा है, I can solve it. अगर मैंने नहीं देखा है, I'm not going to be able to solve it, right? But you have to understand that many of the questions, there are actually new questions, fresh questions जो होते हैं आपके पेपर में, okay, they are quite doable, okay, if you're strong with, आपका एंथ्रो फाउंडेशन स्ट्रांग है. ठीक है. Okay, if you can actually do this, na, so this is one of the reasons why there are students who are already in the service. Okay, they cleared in 2020, 2021, 2022, but 2023 में sir मेरे marks नहीं आ रहे. 2024 में I actually scored only like 190. I scored 205, 210. But you know, a couple of years ago I had so and so kind of score. What has changed? I put in that effort. Okay, that time I studied with stress and tension. Abhi I have like stability, but still I'm not able to score. I'm not able to sort of improve my rank. What's exactly happening? Basically, this is the approach. You know, maybe it had worked for them then. Okay, but abhi ke liye to you have to have a strong foundation. Students who have a strong foundation in their very first mains, they're basically sort of, you know, making a strong claim for the top 1%. First mains, ठीक है? So if they have very strong foundation, उनको नहीं पता कि ये new question है, कि old question है, कि ये doable है, कि doable नहीं है. I have to take a look at this particular question and apply, you know, look at it through that anthropological lens and be able to sort of like provide some sort of analysis. Let me see what kind of analysis I provide. I have been practicing providing this analysis, you know, left, right, and center after the foundation, during the foundation, during the test series. मतलब तो I'll give my best and see कैसे, right? But the next thing they know is that they're basically in the top 1%. Top 1% is like, you know, the top 10, the top 15, the top 20 max students in the entire country out of like, you know, 2,000 students. So that is something you have to understand. See, a lot of यहाँ पे ना, so if your foundation is strong, you will be able to tell. See, for instance, let's say कि अगर आप English पढ़ रहे हो, so let's say you take a subject like math या English, right? So you know for sure, let's say कि, you know, you have to solve some sort of English का, let's say reading comprehension or something. You can easily say, oh, this is very simple. Oh, ये थोड़ा सा, you know, difficult this thing है. अगर if it is like, you know, all Victorian kind of English, तो आपको पता है कि that is a difficult वाला thing, right? You know, you have to concentrate extremely hard. One sentence is the length of a paragraph. Okay, so you know कि exactly how it is. But यहाँ पे many of the students don't know कि easy है कि difficult है. It is मतलब किया है कि नहीं किया है. Right? So many of these questions are actually simple, right? So when you have a very strong foundation, you will be able to tell कि easy कौन सा है, moderate कौन सा है, difficult कौन सा है, analytical कौन सा है, right? And you will be able to provide analysis accordingly, right? So you will be able to sort of do many of these fresh questions as well, provided you don't only sort of run behind these PYQ themes, right? Between the PYQs, you have many other questions, many other kind of questions that can be asked, right? So ye wala thing you should basically be able to pick up. Okay. So that is one thing, right? So develop this, and I'm telling you that is you will have a very big advantage even compared to people who have done extremely well in the past. Okay, another thing is going to be the fact that this is another kind of mistake that students have. Okay, see anthro mein, and this is something again, like let's say like 2 decades ago, you used to have these questions that are 60 marks. Okay, the longest question today you have is 20 marks. So 250 marks mein, the longest question that you have is 20 marks. Us samay you had like 60 marks. Only 6 questions the us samay. Okay, so 5-6 questions hai, so if you can choose like 3 to 4 questions of your area, okay, and 5 modules hai, but you can choose 3 to 4 modules, 3 to 4 questions on the same module. So if you're good at like one particular aspect, you can basically just go to town with it, you can go in depth in it, and बाकी सब तो ऊपर से कर लो, ठीक है, हो जाएगा वाला this thing, right? I have enough to basically be able to attempt 60 marks. Okay, 6 questions लिखने हैं आपको, right? So that is a very different kind of a thing. आजकल if you see, you cannot be partial to one particular sort of module. So I come from arts background. I have, I'm very interested in, let's say, social, cultural anthropology, right? Will that alone be enough? Or let's say, sir, मेरा तो biology में इतना interest है. I come from so and so kind of background, or I'm passionate about it, right? So I'm going to study all of this, right? So again, I will tell you this, all the way till 2022, right? What you used to have is that section A used to be your socio-cultural, a little bit of archaeo and all of that, right? And then section B used to be primarily your biological anthropology, your evolution, the bio side, the technical side. So what, and you guys know how the selection works, right? So you have to choose like, thode se marks from here, and then the other part mein you can choose more questions from that particular module. 2 and 3 is type ka hota tha, right? So you can easily sort of like, if you choose like, 150 or 250 marks from your module, okay, yeah, 150 here in social cultural module, okay, it's your area, you're going to score. But abhi questions aise nahi aa rahe. You cannot become, really good at one particular module and bank on a good score. Nahi hoga. The reason is, see, take a look at this. So you can't pick and choose modules. So many of you might not know, I'm just introducing you to this particular subject, but agar aapka koi idea hai, okay, you take a look at this, how this is coming. So this is going to be historical particularism, which is your theory and that miscellaneous kind of module. Okay, what do you have here? Food production, Mehergad, right? Significance of, that entire sort of transition from your Mesolithic to Neolithic. That's going to be your archaeology and your evolution kind of module. And then cultural evolution module. And then yahan pe you have your diseases and their impact on human health. So what is that? That is your biological anthropology chapter number 9, 10, and 11, 12. Yahan pe dekho, okay, karyotype, okay, study of cells, chromosomes, us type ka topic hai ye. Okay, chromosomal aberrations. Okay, so that's your biological anthropology. Define urbanization, discusses impact on family. That's your social cultural anthropology, right? Contemporary challenges in fieldwork method, which is your research methods. So you understand, so you do not have, pehle you had this chunks jahan pe it is all genetics, right? Okay, it is going to be something that is like, economic political anthropology of religion, right? So you have this. So meaning if you're good at one particular area, you can choose a topic jahan pe your strength ko aap dikha sakte ho. Can you do that anymore? Nahi, you have to have a threshold level hold in every one of these things, right? It does not matter ki aapka best, you're the greatest, of all time, right? Manlo in like 1 or 2 modules, it's not going to be sufficient, right? So this is happening to a lot of students. For instance, a lot of students used to be like very passionate about tribes. Okay, they know encyclopedia of tribes, right? So Indian tribes is the tribes of India ka module is basically the biggest module in comparison to every module marks wise. Agar, including the choice wala questions आप उठाओगे, you will basically see 400 marks में it has the highest weightage, okay, more than your biological anthro and all of that. So let's say, the tribes, but right now you're seeing modules are basically getting clubbed, right? So you cannot choose, one particular section jahan pe only your area of strength ko aap address kar paoge. That's not going to be a possibility anymore. So what you've got to do, you've got to understand that you have to either love them all equally, or you hate also equally kar lo, but they're all equal now. You get the picture, right? Hate mat karo. They're all very simple, all conceptual clarity hi dekhte hain, right? It's not about how much you have written, but ability to show in 10-15 pages ki mere understanding achhe hain, Mr. Evaluator, Mrs. Evaluator, right? Dr. Evaluator, right? If you can show this, you're going to be sort of getting a very strong score in your optional. So they call like all of this, right? So this is basically a theories ka module. This is your actually an older one. Tell me what module is this? This is your archaeology module, genetics. okay, with your biology module. Take a look at this Homo erectus, which is your primate evolution, fossil evolution, right? And then you have your bio wala, this thing, right? And then you have your Levi-Strauss ideas. Okay, you could basically place this in theories and miscellaneous, right? Again, if you take a look at this, I'm not even kidding, right? The pattern has changed, right? The module has changed. They do not want you to be an expert in one area of a particular subject. They want you to be at least at a particular threshold at all. Okay, even being above average in every module and not being the greatest in any module is still going to fetch you a much better score than being the greatest in some and average in the others. You get the picture, right? So you have to be at least at a above average. And above average nahi matlab, I'll get you to very, very high levels. So take a look at this Jacques Derrida. What is that? That is your postmodernism, right? So multifactorial. So this is your theories ka module. This is going to be multifactorial trait. Okay, so this is your your polygenic inheritance and all of that. So genes. So what is that? Your biology. And this one is going to be your research methods, sampling techniques. Sampling techniques is like, you can't study the entire sort of society that if you're trying to study them, but how do you sort of pick the right sort of sample? Kin ko ab read karoge so that it is actually accurately representative of the group that you're basically trying to study. So again, take a look at the social stratification. This is going to be your sociocultural anthropology, then genetics, literally it's a biological anthropology, and then this is again your evolution related topic. Okay. Okay, so this is an important sort of point. So what is another sort of takeaway from today's session, right? So I am going to focus on so and so kind of module ka wo zamana gaya, right? For all of those, who are really targeting a very high score, 150 plus, close to 160. Okay, this year, 150 today is basically like 170. Literally like a couple of years ago, right? So us level ka, but it is really possible. Okay, if you aapka foundation wala step is very strong and then you move to the test series ka the stage, I think you will do exceptionally well. Okay, because wahan pe you are kind of prepared, you're kind of ready. होल्ड है आपके पास. उसके बाद क्या करना है आपको, मतलब 10% का वैल्यूडेशन हियर, some scholars, some studies, थोड़ा सा कंक्लूजन में ये डालते हैं, इंट्रोडक्शन में ये डालते हैं, दिस इज बेसिकली व्हाट यू हैव. बट द होल, मतलब आपका स्ट्रक्चर, द सीक्वेंस, द एसेंस ऑफ योर आंसर, ऑल दैट इज ऑलरेडी बिल्ट. ठीक है, सो दैट इज एसेंशियली व्हाट आई वुड नीड फ्रॉम. It's really possible. ठीक है, so I'm not kidding. So far any questions? The chat is working, right? Yeah, I started with two types of students, and uska context, in case somebody has missed, it is generally there are students who this is the general kind of students, okay, the typical kind of students, the way they hear from somewhere, from some seniors, something like this, and they're like, ठीक है, ये हम करेंगे तो ठीक है, मतलब एक some level of score you will be able to get. Okay, 230, 240, 250, right? But this is not the kind of score that is going to be chasing 145, 140, 150, right? Okay, even 135 is going to be very difficult for this, because you will have questions jahan pe you will not be able to choose blocks of 3, right? Because fresh questions har ek mein aa rahe hain, right? Okay, so har ek block mein you have one question jahan pe one, yeah, possibly sometimes even more. Okay, jahan pe it is a fresh question. It's not difficult question, it is basically fresh question. You have to learn the ability, you have to pick up the ability, create an analysis then and there. Okay, it's not that difficult at all. Okay, in fact it is a lot simpler. Tell the template about yeah sir, please tell the template about how to make short notes. Okay, I will how to make short notes. So this is a common question, so this is something that I will basically cover in the second session. Rishabh, so okay, hamare second session of your QEP plus mein maine dikhaya tha, but again I will basically go through and tell you how to make those short notes in the next session. How to divide the day between GS and optional, and how should you split it? No extra source like books or only class. Yeah. See, basically, my suggestion is, I'll tell you some examples of our students who have done kaise kiye hain and all of that, right? So, and I'll tell you the logic behind it also. Okay, theek hai. That is that. The next is basically how to divide the day. Okay, so I'll take that question at the end. Do we also need to read other books? Theek hai. Okay, one-stop solution. So how do you provide notes? Is it important to rely on market books? नहीं, कुछ नहीं. Okay, so just follow. See, the second you jump into multiple sources, ना आपका मतलब your वो downfall start होगा. ठीक है, just focus on one thing. Okay, it is going to be 80-90% of what you write in your paper is going to be dependent on one. Okay, when your mind is basically scanning through to to one particular topic, ना आपका एक ही source होना चाहिए. Okay, and ours will be much better. Okay, so you use that. Okay, whatever we need in order to craft an answer, okay, you will basically get it. ठीक है, and it will be relatively on the shorter end. If there is anything that I give you that is, let's say ki not directly from your syllabus, I'll just keep it not as handout number so and so. I'll basically give it as ki some additional material, something, but the idea should be that I have to keep your foundation related materials to as short as possible, okay, while covering every single thing. Okay, while covering every single thing, okay, and your mind should be able to scan just that, okay, and do that value addition from the test series and whatever I give you कि यहाँ पे ये आप introduce कीजिए, आजकल ये चल रहा है market में, market as in like the anthropological world में ये चल रहा है, so this is a kind of a scholarly debate that you can introduce, so these kind of things. But apart from that, na, that is like the ऊपर वाला तड़का, right? That is like the salt that you sort of sprinkle on top of your sort of whatever dish that you're making. But the dish in itself is basically the basics. Okay, the more from your foundation, the better it is. Okay, okay, so that is that. Okay. Next is going to be not till the end of the year. Okay, what is the last date? Can you guys tell me what is the last date? I think I've given 80 days, correct? Okay, so generally, I mean, again, it depends on the size of the batch. Okay, how many questions I basically get at the end of the lecture. Right, so these kind of things will also matter. But generally, मतलब इतना नहीं लगता है. Anthropology is actually a small subject. Okay. Okay. ठीक है, it is November 24th, correct? If it is November 24th, unless I ask some other question, ठीक है? So इसके पहले होना चाहिए. Okay, I think unless I fall ill or any kind of thing like that. Okay, most likely you will be done before that. Okay, way before this. Okay, but actually I've kept a lot of buffer. You guys must be able to see those buffers because us samay I want to take a little more of questions and I want to focus a little more about showing you guys how to write quality answers. Okay, within those constraints that are given by UPSC, right? So a lot of you, especially students I'm seeing freshly when they come to a test series, उनका foundation strong है नहीं है, ये सब होता है. These are the kind of issues, but the first kind of answers that they write are something जहाँ पे मतलब they are not able to write something in 2 pages. ठीक है, अगर 2 पेज में वो लिख रहे हैं, even if it's a simple topic, it is basically like not 150 words but 230 words, right? So for them to be able to say कि what they want to say, okay, and to show कि what all I have studied, मतलब उसको उनको it is basically taking them like 50% extra words, right? So that's not something that I want you to sort of मतलब ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए आपको, right? So I want to ensure कि you take a look at answers जहाँ पे and you also write those answers जहाँ पे you are getting used to ability to sort of like deliver, okay, within the same sort of constraints that are given to you in the final exam. Right? See, for instance, you might have seen कि let's say you go for many of you from university, let's say masters वगैरह है या you've been pursuing your PhD, आपको conference वगैरह जाना पड़ेगा. So यहाँ पे it is not the written communication, it's more about the verbal communication. In verbal communication, they're very, very strict with it, right? So you should be able to deliver your main ideas in the time that is allotted to you. Okay, let's say कि मतलब वो 20 minute का एक slot मिलता है, especially if you're younger, okay, and you want to make some sort of contribution. And वहाँ पे 3 लोग हैं who have to speak about this, right? So intro and basically ending, on a high note, and plus the 3 of them basically sort of like delivering their part, okay, and then coherently वो सब उनको 5 मिनट में उनको करना पड़ेगा, right? It cannot be see this is a very dense topic and मुझे अगर if I have to do justice, I need basically half an hour नहीं मिलेगा life में, right? You have to basically work under the same constraints. Right? अगर आप administrator बनोगे, right? So you let's say that you're going to be like आपको ये ऐसा एक project करना है, right? So you have to do a kind of project and it's going to make a huge this thing, right? Okay, and then you will say कि for me to be able to deliver this in a great manner and that is the most impactful, okay, all I need is 3 महीना, okay, and 3 months, and you need, let us say, 100 crores. Okay, you have to understand this. You're going to be given 3 दिन, okay, or 3 weeks or 3 days, okay, and then you'll be given 10 lakhs. समझ रहे हो, right? So whatever is required, in life, it is not going to be efficient, right? So it is going to be बहुत cut करके आएगा, but you should still be able to deliver, within those constraints that life throws at you. यहाँ पे the constraint is going to be 150 words, 7 minutes, okay, 2 pages, right? So this is basically the thing. So here, what I would basically say is to a great extent we'll focus especially on those buffers is to ensure that अगर कोई if some topic basically goes a little extra, we can spend that time. I have that flexibility. At the same time, the rest of the time we'll focus on writing. But let's say I'm done with biological anthropology, right? So biological anthropology, you have done only biology side, right? So you have done the biological anthropology module, right? So when you finally have to write those answers, you will not write only the biological anthropology part, right? You will basically connect it with the other modules as well, but you have not done those modules yet, right? So this is basically just your practice. Here the focus is going to be कि if it's only biological anthropology, just try to build a stronghold in this biological anthropology, see how to use your knowledge, the content, the text, okay, the diagrams, the examples, okay, the studies. How do you sort of like put this all together in order to be able to craft something that is, you know, meaningful, logical. Okay, so that is basically the whole thing that you would develop here. I think it'll be a little before this, but देखते हैं, ठीक है? So regarding the material, see, I would say that, you know, 90% of what you write, my students write in the final exam, is actually from the handouts itself. जितना भी मैं देता हूँ इन द टेस्ट सीरीज एंड वैल्यू एडिशन, जनरली देयर गो टू आंसर्स, द गो टू पॉइंट्स, द गो टू मेमोरी जो क्लिक होता है ना, इट इज मोस्टली फ्रॉम द हैंडआउट्स इटसेल्फ, जो फाउंडेशन बैचेस में उन्होंने किया है without stress, without tension, right? So जो उन्होंने किया है, that is something that is always going to come out like much quicker, right? So extra 10% हम add करेंगे, I'll basically give you 20%, okay, out of which even if you can sort of like implement 10% of it, that will be great, ठीक है? But 90% of what you need is basically something that we'll be providing in the class itself. Okay, well, that is what I've seen students do. Okay, in the next wala phase mein, a lot of facts, a lot of studies, ye wo matlab hum dete hain, but you know, those are not something that, you know, students tend to use as much from what I have seen. Okay, and they are able to score extremely well. Okay, because still, you know, the core idea is more important than, you know, that the final wala salt makes it useful, but you know, that is basically that. So the foundation course is basically going to be based on 5 different parameters. It is for you to develop a strong base, strong enough that, you know, when you come to the test series, okay, you are going to be able to sort of like start being able to address questions a lot better compared to even some veterans. Right, you have to be able to come in with a strong foundation before you can handle analytical questions, difficult questions. ठीक है, bouncer question को छोड़ो, right? You know it or you don't know it, उस type का होगा. Okay, you will see, मतलब few questions तो होंगे आपके exam में, you know, and there is no way you're going to be able to predict it. We've been a little lucky in predicting it, okay, but you know, we are not always going to be lucky, and उसका उतना matter भी नहीं करता है, right? So this is just like prelims. Prelims में you're going to have questions that are doable. You have questions जहाँ पे you can use your logic, and some questions जहाँ पे मतलब you know, 10 साल के लिए prelims के लिए पढ़ोगे instead of 1 year also, you will still not be able to solve 20 questions, right? ये तो होगा, तो ये यूपीएससी में एंथ्रोपोलॉजी एनी ऑप्शनल में ये होगा, right? So that is that. ठीक है, and then it's going to be your test series and validation is step number 2. तो यहाँ पे also you will have certain number of steps, right? I've given you 5-step process here. What is it? Okay, class and conceptual clarity. Second thing is going to be internalization of your handouts. तीसरा वाला is going to be writing assignments and submitting within that week, right? And then the fourth one is going to be making those short notes. You know, you will have an idea of what needs to go into your short notes, right, when you write your assignments. Okay, and the last one is going to be take one test module के लिए, so that will basically give you you know, like एक अच्छा सा feeling आएगा, right? So you know, okay, I don't remember this, but at least I'm able to sort of like put this, my ideas in a very nice structured like quality के साथ मैं लिख पा रहा हूँ या लिख पा रही हूँ. Okay, both of these things you do, okay, then you're going to be like very strong in June of 2026. That is right after your prelims. So prelims mein, when you finish that, okay, so that time when you come in, you will have students who are already, let's say, in the service, students who have already topped the previous year, students who have already studied all these things, students who have already gone through, you know, a lot of tests and practice and सब कुछ उन्होंने किया है. But now you have come to a point जहाँ पे you have done the foundation, which is like, you know, making you very strong, जहाँ पे you can handle questions, even fresh questions, okay, and you have gone through one round of test series जहाँ से आपने थोड़ा सा value addition वगैरह कर लिया, you're going to add some you know, recent studies and all these kind of things भी आपने कर लिया. You can compete with anybody at this particular point in June. ठीक है, so you might come in at the top 10%. Okay, maybe the top 10%, maybe some of you, maybe even the top 5%, depending upon how your year goes, whether your, you know, motivation has been sort of like consistent throughout this time, right? अगर आपने ऐसा कर लिया ना, you come to the top 5%. इसके बाद आपको करना क्या है? You basically have to just maintain that your lead जो आपने लिया है. Let's say you're better than 90% of the students, okay, 85% of the students, 80% of the students. You should be able to maintain that lead and then sort of like go there. ठीक है? Don't allow anybody to sort of come in. So what is the sequence here? The foundation, okay, one round of tests. Okay, if somebody says कि मतलब ये पूरा foundation में ये हो जाएगा, then basically it's not true. Okay, ये नहीं होगा, right? So foundation is basically to build that foundation, right? You cannot mix and match this, right? So मतलब, you know, आपको पहले you have to build that foundation. You have to go through all those 5 steps, right? जहाँ पे you're writing assignments to एक 15 marker, okay, fairly direct, you know, ये सब आप करोगे ना, only then you are going to be able to do well in this particular process. Don't jump the gun from here to here. Okay, आपको sequence में जाना है. You get the picture, right? See, for instance, no, let's say I always tell this example of, let's say, you know, whether if you're, let's say, आप cricket खेल रहे हो, right? So in case you want to become a better batsman, no, you can't go and face Bumrah first. right? You can face Bumrah as much as possible, but either you're going to be extremely hurt, okay, or your toes are going to be fractured, or basically you're going to be leaving all the balls, right? Okay, your stumps are going to be broken. It's not helping you. So what you've got to do is that 150 level के bowler है, 90 miles per hour वो अगर वो फेंक रहे, right? So you have to ensure कि you basically get used to practicing your shots with 110 kilometers per hour. You play your drive, you play your cut, you play your pull, your hook, right? Okay, same thing, then 120 में, okay, build that comfort, right? Your hand-eye coordination, all these kind of things, your reflexes. Then 130, 135, then push 140, 145. You have to come in that way. So यहाँ पे first thing is that nets में जाओ, okay, खेलो, practice करो, बार बार लिखो, बार बार खेलो, you get the picture, right? Once you do that, then you basically come to the test series जहाँ पे you sort of perform, against, worthy opponents, right? Your Bumrahs and we cannot face Bumrah in like 3 months of preparation, ठीक है? But you understand my analogy. Everybody understands the analogy that I'm making here. Take care. Bye bye.